Introduction. South African history is a vibrant tapestry woven with diverse cultures, triumphs, struggles, and a relentless pursuit of freedom and equality. From ancient civilizations and colonization to apartheid and the struggle for democracy, the history of South Africa is marked by a complex interplay of power dynamics, cultural interactions, and the indomitable spirit of its people. This essay aims to explore the key moments, influential figures, and pivotal events that have shaped the narrative of South African history. Ancient civilizations and European arrival. Long before the arrival of Europeans, South Africa was home to various indigenous communities, including the Khoisan and Bantu-speaking tribes. These groups thrived through trade, agriculture, and rich cultural practices. The arrival of European explorers, most notably the Portuguese, Dutch, and British, in the 15th century heralded a new era for South Africa. The establishment of Cape Colony by the Dutch East India Company in 1652 marked the beginning of European colonization and set the stage for future conflicts and power struggles. The scramble for Africa and British rule. In the late 19th century, the scramble for Africa intensified, with European powers vying for control over the continent's resources. The British Empire emerged as the dominant force in South Africa, leading to the Anglo-Boer Wars, 1880–1881 and 1899–1902, between the British and the Boer republics. The conflict resulted in the unification of South Africa under British rule in 1910, and the subsequent implementation of racially discriminatory policies that would shape the future of the nation. Apartheid, the Dark Era. The most defining chapter of South African history is the era of apartheid, a system of institutionalized racial segregation and discrimination enforced by the National Party from 1948 to 1994. The apartheid regime imposed strict racial classification laws, forcibly removed non-white populations from their homes, and deprived them of basic rights and opportunities. Resistance to apartheid took various forms, including passive resistance, protests, international sanctions, and the emergence of prominent anti-apartheid leaders such as Nelson Mandela, Walter Sisulu, and Steve Biko. The struggle for democracy. The fight against apartheid reached a tipping point in the 1980s as internal and external pressure mounted. Mass protests, strikes, and international isolation forced the apartheid government to initiate negotiations with anti-apartheid organizations. In 1990, Nelson Mandela was released from prison, and in 1994, South Africa held its first democratic, non-racial elections, culminating in Mandela's historic presidency. The transition to democracy was a triumph for human rights and marked a turning point in South African history. Reconciliation and building a rainbow nation. Post-apartheid South Africa faced significant challenges, including racial tensions, socio-economic disparities, and the need for reconciliation. The Truth and Reconciliation Commission, established in 1996, aimed to heal wounds, acknowledge past injustices, and foster national unity. Efforts were made to address socio-economic inequalities through initiatives such as Black economic empowerment. Despite progress, South Africa continues to grapple with the legacy of apartheid, striving for a more equitable society. Conclusion. The history of South Africa is a narrative of resilience, perseverance, and the triumph of the human spirit over oppression. From ancient civilizations to the struggle against apartheid and the pursuit of democracy, South Africa's past has shaped its present and continues to influence its future. Acknowledging the diverse voices and experiences that make up the nation's history is essential for fostering understanding, promoting social cohesion, and building a more inclusive society.